following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break!
With Ambar Garcia, Brian Broaddus, Nick Harris, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Monday, August 5th, 2024, season 20, episode number 13. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break, live from Oxnard, California. We're presented by LG. LG is the world's #1 OLED TV brand for 11 years and counting. See why at lg.com/OLED Evo. Welcome back to the show, everyone. We've got a brand new week here. Cowboys have an off day yesterday, so today they get back out here, they get rolling. We got a full week of practice, and quite frankly, the best part about it is this is the week I love, because from now on till February, there will be football. There will be football every single weekend. So here we go. Cowboys getting ready for their first preseason game this coming Sunday. They'll play the Rams in Los Angeles. Today, though, we're going to get into some camp observations, some things you guys have seen from the last couple days of practices. We'll also get to a couple storylines we want to hit. Talk about some injured guys. Let's start first with some injury updates. We've got a few names of guys that have missed practice. I'm just interested just to hear a little bit from you guys on what you've heard about these guys and kind of where they are. Let's start first with Luke Schoonmaker, who popped up with an injury last weekend.
Yeah, injured his groin, and it's unfortunately just another injury in the early career of Luke Schoonmaker. If you remember, when he first got in the building last year, was dealing with a plantar fasciitis issue from his time at the University of Michigan. Missed a little bit of time at camp as he rehabbed that, and then got back on the field. And then this offseason, it's been a hamstring, it's been a shoulder, it's been now a groin. So for Luke Schoonmaker to really find a role in that tight end room that really suits him as a complement to Jake Ferguson, he's just going to have to be able to stay on the field. The best ability is availability, and unfortunately, he's kind of fallen victim to that at times.
Yeah, that's and you mentioned the unfortunate part of it. This is a deep tight end room. We've talked about that a bunch. And so the fact that he's standing over there by us does him no good. They have got some really difficult decisions to make on this tight end group. And, yeah, he's a second-round pick, but there has to be in that personnel trailer when they have their meetings and they talk with Britt Brown and Jim Maurer about injuries, and it's Luke Schoonmaker's name on there. Mike McCarthy's having some competitive practices out here to try and figure out his team, and the fact that Luke Schoonmaker is not part of this, I think it not only hurts him, but I think it hurts the team, because they're trying to figure out about these tight ends and can these guys be better point of attack blockers in this running game. Missing that time is bad for everybody involved.
Well, what's unfortunate is that the times that he is healthy and the times that he has been on the field, most often than not, he's doing something really good. Like, I've seen him make plays at times where it's like, oh, okay, that was good. Obviously not perfect every single time, but he has those moments where you just wish he could have a long stretch where he is healthy so he can reach his full potential, but it hasn't happened yet. And at this rate, I mean, he might be one of those type of players that he's constantly dealing with something, which we know that's never a good thing.
Was that a little bit and I'm thinking about, was Dalton Schultz a little bit like that? I just remember when Dalton Schultz started his career, there always was kind of something that, that we were kind of like, oh, well, if Dalton Schultz could do this, I hope he has the career of Dalton Schultz or that, but it took him maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years to kind of, but they don't have time to have it. But if it's something where these tight ends are, they've come in, they haven't had really good health, and then all of a sudden, boom, something clicks, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I see, he's the availability part. Oh, look, Ambar, he's making more plays out here. So yeah, you're right. And I'm like the guy that's driving the Luke Schoonmaker fan club wagon thing, because coming out of Michigan, I thought he was a hell of a football player. When Michigan was physical running the football, and Luke Schoonmaker was a big part of that. Mm-hmm. We just unfortunately haven't seen that here.
Yeah, talking about a rookie who was having a good camp that then found himself out of practice, Tyler Guyton. Tell me what's going on with him.
Yeah, dealing with an illness. He missed the weekend practices, so that was Friday and Saturday. Would have to maybe expect to get him back on the field today, but nevertheless, just dealing with an illness, it's allowed Chuma Edoga and Awesome Richards to pick up some reps. Now, Chuma Edoga's also been battling with an injury that's kind of kept him off and then back in.
The
It
lower
looks
back
like
seems to be a little bit of a problem for
Yeah,
him.
it looks like a limited type issue,
Yeah.
and if you remember at camp last year, he dealt with a ankle issue that kind of kept him in and out of camp as well. So it's been really valuable reps for Awesome Richards, the second-year, fifth-round pick out of North Carolina, and from what I can tell, he's done well with those opportunities.
Yeah, and okay, Derek, you're going to ask us all camp's observations. Awesome Richards had an awesome day.
Let's go.
The other day, and and he was thrown into the situation of playing the left tackle spot. It also helps playing next to Tyler Smith. Tyler Smith can make you look pretty good over there too. But I'll say this: Awesome Richards, it was one of these guys where you're kind of going into camp thinking about, okay, swing tackles. Who are going to be the guys that are the swing tackles? Maybe playing some guard. Awesome Richards has done that, but at left tackle in that practice, the blue-white practice, I'll tell you what, there was some impressive work with him. And him and Nealon going after each other. Two guys. Nealon's trying to not find his way. I think he's gone a good path, and he was giving Awesome Richards all he can handle, but Awesome Richards was giving it right back to him. So it was good work from those two guys.
Yeah, that's great. All right, Ryan Flanoy, where are we with him?
Man, practice squad. That's where we're at right now. And it's unfortunate.
He's at a position that's pretty deep right now, too.
He is at a position, and the thing about it is you look at these Cowboy wide receivers, every day there's somebody that makes a play.
Yeah.
It's not just one or two guys. It is they're finding, with Durden and guys like that, I was talking, it was funny, I was talking with Todd Archer this morning, and he goes, "What do you know about Burnett?" I said, "Number 6."
He's impressive.
He goes, "Yeah, the guy's making plays."
Yeah.
So that's the issue that you run into when you're a young guy and you're a rookie and you're as good looking of a physical as a player as he looks. You're wanting to see him out there catching balls from Rush and Lance and even Dak if he gets the opportunity. But standing over there by us kind of looks like a practice squad guy right now because you're not being a part of what's going on this field right behind us.
Yeah, Ryan Flanoy dealing with a knee issue that's been keeping him out since before the pads even came on, so he hasn't had an opportunity to even put the pads on with the team yet. You'd have to hope that he's able to get back on the field this week in time for the preseason games because, yeah, Brian, you mentioned these receivers that are really starting to emerge here at camp. You also want to mention Tyron Billy Johnson and Jalen Cropper. And there's going to be probably only one or two spots that those 4 or 5 guys will be fighting for when it comes to a roster spot. I think the one advantage, obviously, that Flanoy would have is the fact that he's a 6th-round pick who, depending on who you talk to as far as NFL scouts go, he had some hype coming out. Would he be able to survive a practice squad, a practice squad waiving? And so I think that's probably the one thing you would look at when it comes to Flanoy and maybe the advantage that he has. But I truly think there's not going to be a sizable gap between all of these receivers. Man, it's just getting louder as it gets closer, huh?
Welcome to training camp.
I think the sizable gap comes in the preseason. That's going to be really when those reps really do count. The preseason work will be really important at that receiver position.
One more name I have for you guys. When do you guys expect Trayvon Diggs to get fully integrated into practice where he's being able to do everything? Is that something that you expect during camp, or do you expect that really week 1 is really what you're targeting
after
for
the
Diggs?
wrestling match, well, he didn't really fight. He just let Micah do whatever. But after that, I mean, you would hope anytime soon if you see him getting thrown on the floor and picked up by another man.
Well, he was gently laid on the floor. I don't think he was thrown on the floor. Let's not starting rumors
there. He was body slammed.
Yeah.
No, but I haven't heard any specific. I don't know if you guys have, but
Brian probably has a better
hopefully
perspective
soon.
of this. I think from my perspective, yeah, I'm with you, Derek, as far as getting him a nice ramp-up period, nothing too competitive maybe until they get back to Frisco, and then work him back on the field in time for week 1.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. I talking to some people that would working in that situation, they're like, listen, no hurry here. They're getting really good work from their corners, by the way.
Yeah.
That's one of the, if you said, what are some of the things that you're really excited about training camp, it's what these defensive backs have been able to do. And especially a guy like Carson and Scott. I mean, those guys are getting really good work. But right now, I think it's more about They just want to make sure that he's completely ready with the workouts and stuff like that. It looked like some of the videos he sent before camp that, he's back. And I started talking to people, and it was like, we see those videos, but we're still a little bit ways to go. So I think they're going to be very cautiously optimistic to get him on the field. I think the time when we get back to Frisco would be pretty much where you're at.
And quite frankly, he's not going to play during the preseason, so just ramp him up as you need to get him ready for week 1 is the way I look at it. Yeah. All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to get some practice notes from you guys. Brian, I actually saw an interesting tweet you had yesterday I'm going to throw at you. I want you to explain a little bit on what you mean by it. I'm sure in your mind there's probably millions of them going through your head because you tweeted a few times yesterday or over the weekend. Yeah. We'll get to it when we come back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
If you can't be at the stadium, there's no better way to watch your Cowboys than on an LG OLED Evo TV. That's because everything you see is more lifelike. Every play, every hit. I mean, you might as well be on the sidelines. That's how clear it is. It's all thanks to LG's legendary technology. Perfect black, over 8.3 million self-lit pixels. No one comes close. LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game for a reason. See for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
Don't put off getting your oil change, Dallas. Take 5 Oil Change, a proud partner of the Cowboys, is faster than you think. There's no appointment needed and no waiting room. Yep, you heard that correctly. Take 5 is so fast, you don't even have to get out of your car. You can take advantage of Take 5's fast, friendly, and simple service at any of their locations across the Dallas area. And remember, at Take 5, you stay in your car because they're faster than you think. Take 5, the official oil change of the Dallas Cowboys.
If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a pepper thing.
Life doesn't stop when the economy is uncertain. The market might not care you have a wedding to plan or a kid to put through school. And inflation doesn't know you've got a family to feed. But Bank of America does, and is here to help. With digital tools to help you save and local experts nearby, you can keep life moving forward the way you need it to. Bank of America. What would you like the power to do? Learn more at bankofamerica.com. Bank of America NA, member FDIC, equal credit opportunity lender.
Back to the break.
LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game, but don't take our word for it. Digital Trends said the LG OLED G4 has the best picture quality they've ever seen. See it for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
Welcome back. It
OLED
is
Evo.
OLED.
It started to fight back a little bit. I saw it in the middle there.
I know.
Welcome back. It is the second segment
early in
of
the
the break,
morning.
live from Oxnard, California. And today, let's talk a little bit about let's get some practice updates. I want to start first, though, Brian. You had something interesting you said on Twitter that I thought about practices. Here was what you tweeted. You said, Mike McCarthy setting up practice the way he has is making them more mentally tough. This was a marathon Saturday. Tell me what you meant by that. Explain that a little bit.
Yeah, when there's been some times in past administrations, I remember the Jason Garrett administration, there were practices where it seemed like it would go on and on and on and on, and you get the work and all, and you could really get something out of the practice. You could see the toughness the players having to fight through. That practice he had on Saturday was about 30 minutes too long.
Yeah, it was long.
You know what? But he tested his team. He tested his young guys there at the end. And I think overall, just not this practice with Mike, but we've seen when they go individual, then they turn around, they immediately go into whether maybe it's a mojo moment on the goal line. We're running 2-point plays. It's competitive. He's trying to do things 9-on-7 period, where immediately get into the running game, 1-on-1, immediately get into that. the period they had where the closeout, lockout, the goal line period. Give the defense points for stops. Give the offense, of course, touchdowns if they score. He's really trying to find ways to get his team more mentally tough and to fight through things. People will tell you, though, with Mike McCarthy, maybe the first several years was, okay, we're going to kind of go ease in the practice. We're going to do this. So we're going to take our time. And the players will tell you that Mike McCarthy's a great guy, but he really cares about us, our bodies and how we're practicing and stuff. But I get a little bit more sense, and maybe it's because of the situation with everybody overall. It's like, okay, I've tried it this way. Maybe I need to think about it this way. And I'm not saying he's doing the Jimmy Johnson, Austin, Oklahoma drills out here.
Yeah.
But you are getting competitive practices where there's a lot more competition than what we've seen the last several years from him. I really, really like what I'm seeing as far as the way he's setting up these practices.
But also it's kind of ramping up. Like, he hasn't been like, hey, let me just throw you to the deep end of the waters. It's been like a slowly growing progress.
Yeah. Well, you're seeing, like, the reason why guys like Awesome Richardson, Thomas, the guard, and others, or you could see these guys, Neal, and you see them getting work and see them getting better, is because, and the receivers, the tight, whoever, guys are getting opportunities to compete. Yes, we have the mock game, which if you want to take a nap is great. You can take it's an easy way to recover, but you're able to talk about these guys and write about these guys in a way because you are having more competition at positions. It's like, okay, if we're going to cut this team, let's know about this team. And I think they're doing a really good job of making these players work through longer practices, but also practices that tax them physically more than what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, and it's an emphasis on the youth, too, whenever you factor all of that in. It's just because of the bodies that have been available, the bodies that are here at training camp in general. I think having those opportunities for the young guys on the team, especially going into the preseason, that's going to be huge.
All right, we're going to go down the line. We want to get some practice observations. Give me a player, group, moment, something that stood out to you in practice over the last couple practices. Yeah. Let's start with you, Nick.
Yeah, I'm going to step in front of the line here. Kalen Carson. As far as the rookie class goes, I would have to say he's been the most impressive so far. You talk about physicality.
In the entire class?
Yeah, in the entire rookie class. He's been the most impressive as far as, factoring in draft value and how he's come in and approached the opportunity that's in front of him. I mean, we're looking up, again, it's before the preseason, so there's still some time for some things to shake out, but he's the CB4 in my book behind the three starters. He's a guy that I think could play inside or outside. I think he's a guy that you probably want on the boundary a little bit more just because of his physicality, his ability to step up in the run game on the outside too. But I love his physicality. Sometimes a little bit too physical out here. There was a play, I think it was on Friday, where Dak Prescott was kind of scrambling out and just trying to get out of bounds, and Kalen had kind of grabbed his shoulder pad a little bit and kind of torqued him back a little bit. And Dak looked back at him like, "Hey, hands off the merchandise! Like, keep your hands to yourself." And it was kind of a funny moment here on the sideline. But Kalen Carson's been great. Anytime that there's a ball in front of him, he's going to attack it. It doesn't matter who's in front of him. He's done a really good job. So far, he's been the most impressive rookie in my eyes.
Right now, if you had to compare Nahshon Wright to Kalen Carson, where would you put the two?
Yeah, I think Kalen moves a lot better. Kalen is always in the right spot a little bit better. I think with Nahshon, it's just a sense of, there's sometimes a little bit too much separation in those short to intermediate routes. And unfortunately, that's what you get whenever you do have a corner that has that kind of length and that kind of frame. I mean, he has a 6'4" corner, which really works in certain instances, and especially in zone coverage. If this was a zone coverage type defense, it was built to be this man type team, this physical type team, and I think sometimes it just doesn't work to Nahshon Wright's favor. But I have Carson above Wright if I was stacking the depth chart right now on August 5th.
Yep.
Well, mine, it's two starters, so everybody knows these. Brandon Cooks is one of them. I think it's worth mentioning him. He's had such a good camp from the moment he got here, same as last year. My only concern is, okay, are they really going to utilize him this year more than they did last year? The second guy that I think it's worth mentioning as well, and I've been wanting to talk about him, is Micah Parsons. I mean, he started to ramp things up and just make his presence known on the field. And I wanted to mention this. I know some people are not buying it, the whole act, but to me, I like when people, I like to give people the chance to show change and growth. And off the field, I think he's starting to make that change where he's growing. He's being more vocal in a nice way. He's portraying and carrying himself as a better teammate, just more friendly around people. I've seen several interactions just off the field when they, family members starts getting on the field. I've seen him have interactions with Stephen Jones where he's just extremely nice and just relatable in a way. And the way he talks on the podium as well. So again, I know attitude has been a topic that we talked a lot about during the offseason with Micah Parsons, and I think whether or not it's fake, to me, I find some of those interactions very genuine in my perspective. So right now it's just a great sign for this moment of the year to head into the season with a Micah Parsons that is just portraying positive energy and also being a badass on the field.
You always ask these questions, and I'm never going to give you the answer you exactly want to hear. Give me Mike Zimmer for the coach.
Okay, yeah. All right.
He's making it hell on these quarterbacks.
Yeah.
The way that these secondary, the linebackers are disguising coverages, the way he's moving Parsons around, the way that he's making it tough on these quarterbacks. The way the quarterbacks are having to respond. We haven't seen this. Nothing against Dan Quinn. More static, more stationary, but you don't see the disguise. Mm-hmm. With Mike, you see the disguise. You see blitzers home free on rush. Leofau against the ones. All of a sudden, Mike shows double A gap. Leofau's home. Bust maybe, but how did he get to the situation where he got Leofau free? Mm-hmm. By the way, he showed he made the offensive line have to adjust to something else he was showing, and then he ran a guy home free. Now my player. Hunter Lipke has shown a lot in this camp to me so far.
Talk to me.
If you want to talk about guys, and we love to talk about the word consistency. We love that word. If you talk about a guy that's had a good practice really every single day, to me it's Hunter Lipke. I watched him the other day. There was a scramble drill with Trey Lance. Ball comes kind of fluttering out there on Hunter Lipke's 25 yards down the field, low adjusting, scooping catch off the ground. Next play, he's coming in motion blocking. Next play, they're throwing him the football. They've kind of figured some things out for Hunter Lipke, and I think the way that they figured things out, if you want to start talking about the running back situation, you could kind of throw out. You could kind of just talk about. I'm talking about Hunter Lipke as far as the guy that's shown the most consistency out here in all the things they're asking him to do.
And do you think kind of in the running back situation, you look at the dynamics of that room, Hunter Lipke's kind of on an island by himself just because he's a lead blocker. He does what no other running back in that room can do. I mean, true fullback role, and I think he's got a safe roster.
Yeah, 2-minute running back in the game as a blocker and then as a catcher. Those are the types of things that you absolutely – they're going to find roles for him, much like it is like with Turpin. Let's put him in the backfield. Let's throw him the ball. Let's hand him the ball. Those are the kinds of things that I really like. I don't know if the starting running back is in this field right now practicing, but I do know they've got a weapon in a fullback, H-back, whatever tight end, whatever position. They might keep one less tight end knowing what they have with Hunter Lipke and his ability to play as a wing or maybe even play a little in line for you. And I mean in line next to the tackle there.
Which even gets more interesting when you start thinking about tight end being one of the deepest positions they've got on this team. Yeah. And now you got a guy that might alter that even and say, that's where we start getting back to that original conversation on Schoonmaker. Man, you got to get out there. You got to figure out a way to get out there because not being out there is a hard thing when you're talking about cutting this team down and knowing that you got a bunch of tight ends that you really love and you got now a fullback that you really love.
Hunter, he got a chance to talk to the media and he did a great job. Everything he said, but I just wanted to say this because you're not welcome to the show unless we get to make some fun of you, Nick.
Let's go. Come on down.
He's talking to the media. saying everything. He has a serious face, very professional. And I wish you guys could have seen. I mean, we snapped a few photos, but Nick is just standing there. His face is just like...
It's like Proud Brian. You remember Proud Brian from back with Mo Claiborne? You remember that?
Exactly.
You remember Proud
St.
Brian?
Louis game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nick did his Proud Brian face just watching a Hunter
For
Liv,
those that
and
don't
he was
know,
so happy.
For those that don't know, Nick has been like one of the
Huge
biggest
fan.
Hunter Lipkeeper like you've been all over the Hunter Lipke
From the day he
fan
got in the
club
building.
since he got here, and so for you right now, you're just like, yeah, give me more,
Like,
give me more, shoot it in
hold
my
his
veins.
Smile. He just had the proud look on his face. He's like, oh yeah, let's go.
Well, if you'd have known what I was thinking when Mo Claiborne walked past me and he had that interception that sealed the game.
Yeah.
In my mind, I go, it's about effing time. That's what I was thinking.
So it wasn't really proud.
It wasn't
like,
proud. I was looking at him like,
come on, LSU.
bro, it's about effing time.
All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take our final break. When we come back, we're going to talk about this receiver position. You guys have alluded to it.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to ask you at some point in this next segment to rank all of these guys that are in that bunch of guys that go all the way from Tolbert all the way down to guys like Jalen Cropper and David Darden. We'll talk about that when we come back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag & Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag & Turf, the official Ag & Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
If you can't be at the stadium, there's no better way to watch your Cowboys than on an LG OLED Evo TV. That's because everything you see is more lifelike. Every play, every hit. I mean, you might as well be on the sidelines. That's how clear it is. It's all thanks to LG's legendary technology. Perfect black, over 8.3 million self-lit pixels. No one comes close. LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game for a reason. See for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
From the field to the festivities, Lucchese embodies the essence of luxury and tradition. Handcrafted with meticulous precision, each pair offers unmatched comfort and style. Stand tall while you're tailgating or cheering in the stands with the Dallas Cowboys collection by Lucchese. Shop the collection today at the Lucchese store at the Star in Frisco or online at lucchese.com. Lucchese, the official boot of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to the break.
AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys.
Welcome back. Final segment of the break, live from Oxnard, California. This segment brought to you by blockchain.com.
Ding.
All right, here's where we go. We got this in this final segment. I want to talk about the wide receiver position. I think it is a position that most would consider who have been out here at practice to be probably the most competitive group from the standpoint of going deep into that roster of guys who are showing, and as you said, Brian, earlier, making plays every single day. You see different guys stepping up and making plays. Let's start first with two guys I think that coming into camp we all were keeping an eye on from the standpoint of who's going to be your third wide receiver. I call it the battle of the Jalens. You got Jalen Tolbert, you got Jalen Brooks. Tell me how you think that's been playing out so far here through the first week and a half of practice.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. We were talking about, coming into camp, who could probably be that wide receiver 3. There's going to be a lot more opportunities on the table with CeeDee Lamb holding out, and the Jalens are the first two guys you look at. And I think we look up a week and a half, almost 2 weeks into camp, you could say 3A and 3B when it comes to those guys. I give the edge to Tolbert just because I think he's been a lot more consistent. You see the offseason work that he's put in with Dak Prescott translating onto the field, and not to say that Jalen Brooks hasn't been phenomenal too. He's got some of the strongest hands out here for any player. When you put the ball in his vicinity, 9 times out of 10 he's bringing it down. That's a pretty good clip, and he's been trusted by all 3 quarterbacks in different parts of 2-minute drills, mojo moments, goal line situations. So both of these guys have really stood out, but the edge goes to Tolbert for me.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I mean, they're very, very close. And I'm a huge fan of Brooks. I've always really liked him since last year. I think he showed moments as well during last year. But it is very close. Jalen Tolbert, I think he's also been getting a slightly more opportunities than Brooks, so that gives him an advantage as well. You talk about that offseason work that he's done. It's very evident that he's been working and has a really good relationship with Dak Prescott, so I think it's starting to show more on the field. Great job by him for putting in the work. I know we killed him that first year and he wasn't really doing much. You're like, oh man, is this one of those busts type of picks? And he's starting to show a lot of things now. But here's my thing, and I'm sure we're going to go down the line of the other guys in the depth chart here. It's just like every year I feel like training camp, it is a time where wide receivers do stand out. So how do you start kind of putting some different glasses on to try to filtering out the things that you see now, but then you stop seeing later? So to me, I'm still trying to figure that part out.
Yeah, this receiving core as a whole has done a really good job of making the front office have to think about how many receivers are they going to really carry. And if it turns into we can't keep them all, then now you turn into surplus. And a lot of times in the league, when you start to say, okay, we're short in this position, but we've got surplus at receiver. Maybe somebody's following us. Maybe somebody's watching preseason games, and they're saying, okay, Dallas has got an extra receiver that's probably, it might be 6 or 7 on their chart, but they could be a 4 or 5 on our chart. So that's where all of a sudden when you have those competitive periods that all of a sudden it's like, well, Dallas might have a surplus in this position. You get Lamb back, and the next thing you know, everybody goes down a notch, and you got to kind of figure that out. I'll say this about Tolbert. I wasn't sure he had the mental toughness to do this. I really didn't. I thought that Brooks is a mentally tough guy. Tolbert, when you watch him practice, his uniform gets dirty out here. He's diving for balls. He's got dirt stains, grass stains. He's trying his best to be competitive. He's running a lot of routes. He's getting open. He's finishing plays. Those are all things that when we were looking at Tolbert and talking about what can he do. He's showing that to you right now. I was worried that he wasn't going to be as tough as Brooks when it came to the stomach to have to do this and do the dirty work and able to solidify that spot. But he's done a nice job so far.
When you look at these receivers, one of the things that I think pops out to me is, and I said coming into camp, I really wanted the Cowboys to consider Kevontae Turpin really filling in a lot more, maybe even being that wide receiver 3. I think one of the challenges there is he's really pretty much a slot guy. You're not going to put him on the boundary very much. And I wonder, you guys tell me, do you think that that's really the reason why he won't necessarily be the guy that gets that many reps from the standpoint of being the third type wide receiver, because they really can't move him around? And CeeDee Lamb plays very well out of the slot. You could do the same thing with Cooks. There just isn't enough opportunity for him as in the slot.
Yeah, it's crazy that maybe he might be their best running back. You know, when you start to talk about tossing him the ball, handing him the ball, there's some explosiveness out of the backfield with him. What's surprising about Turpin is how well he gets open in tight red zone. And you're thinking little guy, get lost kind of a thing. But no, he knows how to work the end zone when the quarterback's in trouble. He knows how to move to find space. He's got that awareness. Do you play him on the outside in the field? Probably not. But, you know, there's times where he caught a slant the other day from Dak, and I was like going, wow, okay. On the outside, that's the shortest receiver you got, running an inside slant route with tight coverage, comes up with the play. So there's times where he does show that ability to play on the outside. but he'll surprise you with how well he plays in the red zone. I think that's an impressive thing that he does as well.
Yeah, I understand the point as far as maybe there is a duplication in the receiving core as far as what he could do versus maybe what CeeDee Lamb could do. But if you isolate KaVontae Turpin's speed with the ball in his hands, things are going to happen. And I think if they can find a way to consistently do that in this offense, then he's going to find some success. I mean, we saw it points last year in a couple of games. The San Francisco game really stands out in the first half. Now, while that one drive did not mean a whole lot, that touchdown drive that did happen in the first half, KaVontae Turpin was huge on that drive. And then he ended up scoring on the wheel route, I believe it was, on the right side, over the shoulder, tracked in the ball. And then you factor in what he could do out of the backfield. As long as you get the ball in KaVontae Turpin's hands, I think things are going to happen. Second year going into Mike McCarthy's offense, it's allowing Turpin to really digest and let this entire offensive system soak in. I think he's going to have more success than he had last year in this offense.
I love everything that he's been doing so far, and we know he's fast. We've known this. We know he has the speed. But to me, the difference right now is that he has grown as far as like anticipation. He can anticipate things so much better. So mentally, what he's seeing on the field, I've seen that be completely different than last year. Sometimes you would see him running and then he gets lost. It's like, okay, he does a little dance. Would remind me of what was his name? Whitehead?
Lucky Whitehead.
Lucky Whitehead.
Oh, wow, Lucky Whitehead. You went back.
White hair.
That was Whitehead. I just remember the red dreads at some point. Anyways, the point I always remember him because he was fast, but he would always dance around, and at the end of the day, you didn't gain much. You're just running on the same spot, kind of. Anyways, the point is with KaVontae, his vision has improved so much, and I think he can be a really, really good weapon that the Cowboys can truly start utilizing even more this season.
All right, so when we look at the depth of the wide receiver position, I think we all probably agree that you've got obviously your top two guys in CD and Cooks. You've got KaVontae Turpin, who will be on this team. And then we all seem to love what we're seeing from Jalen Tolbert and Jalen Brooks. The question is, if they're going to go 6, who's that final spot? So I'm going to give you 4 names, and I want you guys to rank these 4 guys based on what you've seen so far in camp. Billy Johnson, Deontay Burnett, who just got here but has been very impressive.
Yeah.
Jalen Cropper and David Durden.
I'll start there. I'll just based on what we've seen out here, I'll go Tyron Billy Johnson, Jalen Cropper, Burnett, and then Durden. For me, Billy Johnson, I mean, that speed, the veteran experience, you're kind of seeing that translate now. We were able to talk to him, the media, after practice on Friday, and he said that this is the first time in his career he's been able to have the same offense 2 years in a row. And so you see that confidence kind of coming out here, and he's been able to really show that. He's been trusted by Dak, Cooper Rush, Trey Lance. He didn't have the best blue and white practice on Saturday, but he's really been stacking days out here. But at the end of the day, like I've said, and like Ambar said earlier, there's always a receiver out here that comes out and shows out. Will it translate to the preseason field? That's going to be the biggest thing. I think Jalen Cropper is coming for Tyron Billy Johnson. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns and 2-minute drills on Saturday here in the blue-white practice. In my eyes, I think he had the best practice of any receiver at camp on Saturday. So he's coming right there, and I love what I've seen from Burnett and Durden as well.
I was going to put Cropper ahead, mainly because to me,
I respect that. Yeah.
But here's the reason why. It's just
I don't think you're wrong.
The reason to me is like you're only as good as, in my eyes, as the last thing that you showed. So he's the most recent one that has been making plays, and to me, that's what stays on your mind. You can easily forget what happened a week ago. So to me, that's why he's in the lead right now at the moment. Cropper, then I would go Billy Johnson. He's shown a lot of good things that I like. I like his speed too. He's a quick guy on his feet. And then I would go with Burnett and then Durden. Those 2 guys to me though, they're kind of right there. It's whoever makes the last play, and that's who takes the spot for me. They're not that much different from what I've seen so far.
It's not a plug for an LSU guy, but I'll give a plug to an LSU guy. Racey McMath has shown he's got size, and I know he's not part of the 4 that we're talking about. I do feel like that Cropper is closer to Billy Johnson to that point where, if you said, okay, now the competition, and I mentioned about being in the personnel trailer, and then you look at the tags on the board and you're like, okay, can we keep 6 receivers? Mm-hmm. Can we afford to do this? This thing might come down to special teams in the preseason, believe it or not. So that's where I kind of am like focusing. But I really do like what I've seen with Cropper and his ability to get open, secure the football, and make some plays for you.
The one thing I will point out, and I've already mentioned it a little bit, but I can't stress it enough. One of the things I love that I've seen over the last couple days from Deontay Burnett is the fact that he's a guy that he's not a big guy, but what you keep seeing from him over and over again, it's interesting. You see a play, and you'll see a ball get thrown, and you'll see the receiver covered, and you're like, surely that's going to be broken up.
Right.
But somehow he comes up with the ball.
Right.
It's like everything that gets to him sticks to him. And even in traffic, and again, he's not a big guy. He's a little guy.
He is a little guy.
But he has the ability, whenever the ball gets thrown his way, if it's within catching radius, he seems to catch it. He seems to come down with it. And I really like that. And I think if he would have been here and been doing all of that he's done in the last couple of days since the beginning of camp, I do think we'd be talking about him a little bit more. And that's why I would say keep an eye on this guy. If he keeps developing like that, and certainly if he gets into the preseason and does what he's been doing out here, I think that's going to be impressive.
There's only been one guy in this receiver depth chart, and I'd love for y'all to guess here, that I have not seen drop a pass while we've been here at training camp.
Probably Durden.
Durden, I have seen one. I have seen one from Durden.
It seems like every time they throw him the ball,
he does have some strong hands.
Yeah.
I have to give it to him because I think a lot of people wrote him off after that injury and was like, okay, once he heals up, he'll be out of here. But they've given him another training camp opportunity. He's run with it. But no, that's not the guy.
Cam Johnson?
It's Cam Johnson. He has some strong hands, and it's unfortunate because he's this undrafted free agent, came out of a Big Ten program that didn't have a lot of offensive production last year, so there's not a lot of buzz around his name. But, man, he's got some strong hands. He's got a little bit of a route tree. It's not really downfield. It's more short to intermediate, but he's been really trusted in some situations with the second and third team. That's a guy to keep an eye on in the preseason.
Do you think the Cowboys, this might be a weird question, but do you think the Cowboys are getting more out of CD not being here because all these guys are getting more opportunities, or would you get more if CD was here and being able to create that connection, or not create, continue that connection he has with Dak?
I think as a group, with CD not here, you're getting it, but I think if CD was here, we'd still see it be a strong group. We'd probably be talking about this group like we talk about the linebackers. It's like, boy, it's a good room. Man, these young guys are making plays. Every day, somebody that we mentioned that in this segment we just did, somebody makes a play. It might be one play. It might be two plays. It might be, but they're showing up, and the fall off has not been big. Sometimes there's fall off, but not with this group right now.
Yeah, I think, obviously you're going to take advantage of those extra reps that you're going to get without CD being here, but at the same time, it glues the group. When is he coming? People keep asking, do you guys
Let me know if you find out.
Oh my goodness. We keep waiting. We thought it was going to happen this past week, and it still has not. But I think, if anything, him not being here hurts the group more. And I hope they can figure out very quickly, because Derek, we were talking about it a little bit off the show, off camera, but we tend to see sometimes, to me, what I've seen from situations like that, it tends to it's going to take a few games, and you can see that at the beginning of the season. Can you afford to have a few games where it kind of takes him a while to get back on track? Because one thing is practicing on the field in Dak's backyard and hanging out together. Another thing is a real football game, when the lights come on, when real football is happening, and when you're dealing with so many other variants happening. So anyways, to answer your question, I think it hurts him more, him not being here.
I was talking about with my amazing roommate here at camp yesterday. It was like, so if CD shows up tomorrow, do you think he would be ready in time for the Rams practice on Thursday? And I was like, yeah, probably not. Whenever he does get here, there's still going to be a ramp-up period. And so this staff is very intentional about whenever guys arrive and they've been away from the team for a little bit, get them back integrated, make it slow so that they're not rushing anything, both with the process and with their bodies. So, yeah, even if CD Lamb did show up today or tomorrow, we're probably not seeing him in full pads and full go until probably next week. That's a scenario that's not going to happen anyway.
Yeah, sorry about that. Can I throw an observation out real quick?
Sure.
Though, we talk about these guys coming off injuries. Are you seeing John Stevens the same way as you saw him last year?
It's fascinating because
I know I haven't.
Yeah,
there's still positive plays about him, but I don't see the splash or the big plays and maybe that coming off that knee injury. I mean, that's something we always worry about. How long before these guys. He's fighting for a spot, but man, he was so good this time last year. But I kind of feel like I've seen him just not as much as I've seen some others.
He's a different player this time because he has the 11, 12 pounds added.
Yeah.
He's learning how to marry that new size that he has with his ability, also trying to understand where he fits as an inline guy in this offense. I think there's a lot of learning and understanding that he's soaked up in his brain over the course of the last year, and now he's trying to apply it all at once on the field. I say give him a couple of weeks just to kind of apply all that knowledge.
I was just worried about that knee injury thing that we always oh, yeah, they're back. Yeah, everything's great. And then it's week 6 that all of a sudden, oh, wow, he looks like he's ready to play football now.
I will say he has suffered from the dropsies out here.
He's had that. You mentioned catches and drops. That's kind of what I was noticing, too.
All right, we appreciate you guys joining us. We'll be back on on Wednesday. We'll be back on Wednesday.
Will we?
On Wednesday.
After Nobu?
We will be here.
That's what Derek is going to ask me. Amber, can you host tomorrow? I'm like, it's not that serious, Derek. You can jump on the show and just ask random
Wait, so
questions.
are you saying you're going to host Wednesday?
I really, this is what you do every year.
Do you want to host Wednesday? I think it's a good idea if you host
year.
Wednesday. I like to give opportunities.
As if you get that drunk. You don't even get that drunk.
I really
okay?
don't. All right, but we'll be back Wednesday. We may be a shell of ourselves, but we'll be back on Wednesday. Until then, for Brian Broaddus, Amber Garcia, and Nick Harris, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?